flightless bird situation is really upsetting me. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's this woman on here. I'm going to tag her if I can. Her name's Flightless Bird, but now she's changed her name to Birdie. And over the past week, she has been posting videos asking for help, describing what's going on with her family. Basically, her husband going through a manic episode, or seemingly a manic episode, or some sort of psychosis. And she shared several things that made people very concerned about her safety, the safety of her kids, etc. And then after all of that, last night she comes on, she makes this video saying that all of this actually happened in January, and that she decided to make the videos like this where they seemed like it was happening in real time so that she could spread awareness, because she's a theater kid and she likes performance art. As somebody who is a former educator, I was a teacher for 5 years, and also somebody who has experienced abuse within their family, has made a lot of content talking about the abuse that they've experienced while it was going on and also after the fact, I take issue with this for so many reasons. The first reason is that our culture is already one of victim blaming and not believing victims. It has improved a lot in the last decade, but it still ultimately is one that shames victims, and most people don't believe them and come at them with a lot of questions, assuming like the worst of them. And all that this is going to do is going to make people even more hesitant to believe victims when they come online and share their experiences, especially those who ask for help, which is really, really upsetting as someone who's come on this app before and shared what's going on in my life and asked for help and gotten a lot of good help. I don't know what I would have done if few people had believed me and hadn't offered that help or advice. Of course, there's always people who don't believe you, and it's very difficult if you're a victim experiencing it in real time when people don't believe you to continue to share. So it's just, this is setting up so many people to be hurt because of the decisions that this person made. And not only has she harmed future victims with this, she also harmed past victims with this, because she, by asking advice specifically from people who'd been through something similar, effectively re-traumatized so many people who have been through similar experience, whether it's DV or a spouse that went into their first episode of mania. There were so many people offering this woman support, sending her DMs. There were people who are checking on her multiple times a day, because she framed this as her and her children's safety was physically at risk. She said that multiple times. People were very concerned for her. And it's re-traumatized a bunch of people. And when you have this plus everything that's going on with It Ends With Us and how Blake Lively's been promoting that movie, I'm just really tired of seeing DV and any sort of really traumatizing experience that people go through, especially in familial contexts, being used as almost like a plot progression or a tool for clout chasing, or to promote somebody's brand, or effectively to get attention from. And I'm a firm believer that attention seeking is connection seeking. And so by seeing Birdie do all of this, I'm honestly concerned that she thought that this would ever be something that was okay to do in an appropriate way to spread awareness for something like this. Because as someone, again, who's done this and who is an educator from an educational background, this was never going to be received well once you came forward and said that this was a performance piece, because you ultimately manipulated your audience, and now no one is going to trust anything you say from here on out. And so you're going to effectively lose this platform that you just lied to get. And so as I'm watching this, someone who's been in a situation like this but has never decided to handle it this way, I'm trying not to judge her, but at the same time recognizing that I can only think of two reasons why someone would do this. The first one would be to gain a following and to be able to monetize this situation, which is frustrating, because if you are a good storyteller, as someone who considers myself a good storyteller and has gone viral multiple times just from sharing my life and my experiences, if you share and you're a good storyteller, you're going to go viral regardless of if it's happening right now or if you're telling a story of the past, especially when it's about something that is stigmatized and there's a lot of people who will relate to it. So it was just completely unnecessary for her to take this approach if her goal was to go viral. She would have gone viral either way, even if she had done it as like telling a story, like a story time, you know? The other reason I could think of is, again, she's seeking connection. Like there is something going on there that I think needs to be investigated a little bit more. I'm not going to like diagnose her with anything. I don't feel comfortable doing that because, one, I'm not a mental health professional, but also I don't know these people. But to me, it is concerning that she felt okay coming online and sharing this story this way, re-traumatizing all these people, getting the emotional labor and the help from people who were genuinely concerned about her, only to think that then when she shared about this being a performance art piece that people would receive it well, is just kind of like baffling to me. I truly cannot imagine doing that. And I think part of that is like, I feel like in my audience, the people who watch my videos, through being very vulnerable, that I have built like an actual community of people. Like, don't get me wrong, it's still parasocial and I try to remember that all the time, but like, I care about my audience. I care about the community I built, and I care about them being able to trust me. And so I make sure that everything I share, I can factually back up or I have receipts for, because the last thing I want is for something that I say to be like disproven. I don't want to make my own credibility be like destroyed, you know, because when I have needed help on here, it's been really helpful to come and get help here. And if I destroy my credibility, then I'm not going to be able to get help in the future when I need it. And I'm also not going to be able to actually genuinely help other people if they can't trust me. So that's all I really want to say. If you're upset, if you feel very hurt and frustrated and manipulated, that's totally valid. What she did was like a gross violation of trust, and it also, to a degree, felt like crossing a boundary of consent. And while conversations about consent on the internet can be kind of difficult, what I mean by that is she drew everybody into this circumstance, making them believe that it was happening right now, asking for help, and people consented to engaging in this conversation, the circumstance, with the belief of the premise that this was happening right now and she needed active help. And then it comes out that that's not actually the circumstance that was happening. That starts to feel like a breach of consent, because now you have engaged and re-traumatized all these people who like offered help and emotional labor to you that probably still would have, but it would have been different. It would have been very different under the context of knowing that this had been in the past, you know, because then they wouldn't have been spending their own time and energy worrying about you, checking up on you, DMing you. Like, I think what's really crazy to me is maybe you post one video like this and you realize, oh my God, people are really connecting with this. If I did that, I would immediately feel guilty for deceiving people like that, especially seeing all the other survivors coming out of the woodwork to share their experiences, to want to help me. But she posted not one, but like 8 or 9 videos. Several that she's crying, several screenshots of texts with her husband, making it seem like it's conversations happening right now. Like, it wasn't just one and done. This was a week-long thing. Week-long process of deceiving people and continuing to essentially get off on the attention that you were getting from other victims. And it just doesn't sit. None of it sits right with me. So I just want to say, if you're feeling that way, I see you, I hear you, and you're so valid.